Hi everyone, I'm Maggie Weldon from maggiescrochet.com, and in this video Christina is going to show you how to make this adorable little bunny applique. And this is one of 8 Easter projects we're doing for 2014 on YouTube, and this is a free pattern. The links to everything will be listed below, and make sure that you subscribe, like, and share and comment on our videos. It really helps us out a lot to build our channel. And this was done in sport weight yarn. You could also try it in like a worsted weight yarn, and you could put a magnet on the back and use it for a Friggie, or maybe a lapel pin, or a maybe a little bookmark or an applique on something. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we'll go to a close-up now and show you how to make this.
Hey everybody, it's Christina here from maggiescrochet.com, and today I'm going to show you the Easter Bunny applique pattern. This is pattern number FP218, available at maggiescrochet.com. It's this cute little Easter bunny. We use white, and then I've got a hot pink and a light pink to finish him out. You can make your bunny whatever color you want, but these are the colors I'm going to use today. I also have my snippers, scissors, whatever you prefer, a yarn needle. And now the pattern calls for size F hook because it calls for a size 3 sport weight yarn. Today I'm using, this is Lisbeth, we sell it at maggiescrochet.com, and it's a number 3 crochet thread. So it's more like a size 2 yarn. So I'm going to go down a hook size. This is an E. So you can either use the Lisbeth and a hook size E, or use a sport weight yarn and use the hook size F as the pattern calls for. Alright, let's get started. Clear off my workspace, put that little guy to the side, and I'm going to start with my white. As always, we'll start with a slip knot. Alright, the first step is to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 14 double crochets in the 3rd chain from the hook. That's the first one we did there. And this is the head of our little bunny. So there's 1, 2. I made my first chain just a little bit tight, so it's fighting me. It's always good to make your slip knot a little loose, because you can pull this in right here and tighten it up whenever you need to. There we go, it's loosening up a little bit as I go. So I'm just going to keep double crocheting, pick up an extra loop, down through the center, pull through 2, pull through 2. Let's see, how many do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the chain stitches I skipped. We're going to count, that'll count as 1 later, but we're doing 14 double crochets and then the 1 set of chains, so we'll have 15 total. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I need 4 more. All right, so that should be 14 double crochets and our 1 chain stitch. But let's just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, and the chain stitches. All right, so once you get all that, join together with just a slip stitch. Okay, and without turning, just from right exactly where we are, we're going to start working on the first ear. If you want to tighten up your center circle a little bit, you can pull your little slip knot thread, but we're also going to put his little nose there later, so you don't need to worry about it too much. All right, so for the first ear, you're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. So skip that one. Slip stitch, we go through, we pick up a loop, and bring it right back through the loop on our hook. Then we'll do a single crochet, pick up a loop, draw another loop through those 2, half double crochet, yarn over once, down through your chain, pick up a loop, and then bring this loop through all 3 at the same time. Then we'll do a double crochet in each of the next 2. So 1 double crochet and 2. We'll do a half double again. It's where we start out like a double, but then we'll bring this through all 3 at the same time. Then a single, and then slip stitch in the same stitch as the round 1 joining. So that's going to be right here. Okay. Then slip stitch in each of the next 2 double crochets. That would be this one and this one. Now I'm going to go ahead and use a stitch marker and mark this last slip stitch that I did here. Just stick it right through there, should be fine. Okay, and I'm going to work on the second ear. We start the same way. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and make it the same way. So skip 1, slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. In the next one, do a single, then a half double, then in the next 2, do a double. Got my chain just a little bit tight, so it's a little tricky to get in there. Careful not to let your bunny get all twisted around. Try to keep him straight if you can. So where am I? The half double, single, and then in the same stitch as the last slip stitch from the first ear, we do 1 other slip stitch. That's what our marker here is for. If you don't need it, don't use it. But if you do need it, then by all means go ahead and stick that in there. All right, so we've got our 2 ears. Next we're going to do a slip stitch in each of the next 6 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is going to be our last one. Go ahead and mark this stitch too. Alright, so that's the head, but we're going to go straight into the body from here. So moving on to the directions for the body, with the same side facing, chain 2. That's going to count as your first double crochet. Now in the same stitch where our last slip stitch was, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So if we counted our set of chains, that's 3. So there we go, double, double, chain. so 3 there. And then in the next double crochet, we'll do 3 double crochets. And this is the start of our bunny body. Say that 5 times fast. All right, so we've got 6 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting this as 6. We can get rid of our stitch marker now. All right, for the next row, we're going to chain 2 and turn. So that's row 1, and we've got 6 double crochets, including the chain, our turning chain there. For the second row, we'll chain 2 and turn. We're going to count that as our first double crochet. So we'll go ahead and do a double crochet here, and then double crochets all the way across. And the last stitch we're going to do 2, so we end up with 8 double crochets in this row. So is that 6? That is 6. So here, the last double crochet is actually the turning chain from the previous row, but we're going to go ahead and that's where we do our 2 double crochets. So now you have, including your turning chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double crochets. For the third row, we're going to do the same thing, adding a double crochet on each end. So we'll end up with 10 for row 3. So working a double crochet into every stitch. Oops. See, even I mess up sometimes. Actually, I mess up a lot. It's called editing. So that should be 8 double crochets. Sure is. And we'll do 2 in the turning chain from the last row, which we are counting as a double crochet. All right, so now you've got 10 double crochets there. Next row, row 4, chain 2 and turn. And this is just a straight double crochet across. Now since we're counting this as a double crochet, we want to keep this even. This time you'll skip that very first one. So our last double crochet for this row, to make sure we have 10 just like we had in row 3, will go into the turning chain. Alright, so there we've got 10 double crochets. Now onto row 5, chain 2 and turn. Now we're going to decrease. So we'll do a double crochet decrease. We'll go into this first one here. When you pull through those, leave those 2 on the hook for now. We're going to start the next double crochet, pull through, and then we'll pull through all those at the same time. Okay? So we still only have 1 stitch here at the top. That's our decrease. And then we'll do regular double crochets all the way across until we get to the last 2 stitches. Again, one of those will be from our chain. Oops. right? And then pull through all three there. All right. So that's our little bunny body. I'm going to cut off my white thread here, and I'll sew in my ends, and then I'll come back and show you how to do his little bunny tail and the bow, the nose, the eyes, and all that. So here's my little bunny. He's all ready to get a face, get a bow, and get finished. While I also took a second, this is just, I took my hot pink, and this is 40 chain stitches. That's all it is. So I went ahead and, since I knew I wouldn't be working into this, I went ahead and made my chain stitches a little tighter than I usually would, just so it had a nice even look to it. You're going to take this and tie our little bunny a little bow around his neck. Not too tight, I mean, don't strangle the poor guy. Just like you're tying your shoes. Oop. Of course, I may have done myself a disservice in making my chains too tight, because I think this might be just a little bit short to get a good bow like we've got on this guy here. So here we go. This one's going to be better. Here we go. And then just kind of adjust him so you got his little bow. Okay, now this guy needs a tail. I'm going to take the same hook, my E hook, and where's the end of this pink yarn? Thread, really, technically. Again, this is the Elizabeth number 3 crochet thread. So I'll start with my slip stitch. Oops. All right, chain 1. Now that's my center chain, kind of like when we started with the head, we worked all our stitches in that one. We're gonna do the same thing here. So that's the center chain. Then we'll chain 2 and slip stitch into the center 5 times. So chain 2, slip stitch 1, chain 2, slip stitch in the center. That's our second time. So 3 more times. That's 4, so we need 1 more. All right, and there's 5. So I'm gonna leave a really long tail on this because we'll need it to sew our tail onto the bunny. I'm gonna leave probably, I'm gonna give myself a foot. It's probably way more than I need, but I would rather have too much. All right, and then just pull that through. If the center hole is a little too big, just pull your short little slip stitch end, and that'll help tighten up it in the middle there. Okay, I'm gonna get my yarn needle. Easiest way to thread a yarn needle is to fold your yarn in half and then kind of shimmy it through the eye of the needle. There you go. This stuff's pretty easy. Fluffy yarns, whew, can take a while. So we've got our tail here, and we're just going to sew it to the lower right side of our bunny. So let's see, about right there. I'm just going to do a little whip stitch. I'm going to catch my end in my stitches, and then when I clip it tight, that way it'll all be woven in. Honestly, probably just about 3 or 4 stitches should be plenty. Unless you think someone's going to be tugging on this bunny tail a lot, then you might want to do a few extras, but I think that's 4 stitches and that should be plenty. Alright, come around to the back here. I'll tie this off. I always do a double knot because I'm paranoid about things coming undone. So we'll stitch that. This is already woven in, so we can snip that right up next to it. And I'll come back and weave this in a minute. But while I've got this pink on my needle, I'm going to show you how to do the nose. That's one reason I cut my tail for the tail so long, is so that I could just go ahead and have this on my needle for the French knot. Now I do tie a knot in the end of my thread when I'm getting ready to start my French knot. It will still come through when you pull on it, so don't pull too hard. Especially right here, we've got a pretty big opening where our nose is going to go. So I'm going to kind of come in at an angle, come in through this loop back here into the front. So I always feel along the back of it, and once I feel my knot get there, then stop pulling. You don't want to pull it through. Now to make a French knot, this makes a nice little bumpy knot that in this case is going to be our nose. Where the thread is coming out of your work, that's where you're going to take your needle and loop it through. Let's see, I think in this time we're going to do 2 loops. More would produce a bigger knot. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and do, I think, let's do 4, since I have a fairly large hole there in the middle. And then you want it to look as though you're going back down in the same hole. For security's sake, I'm going to go in, again, at a little bit of an angle. Use your free hand to kind of hold the knot secure as you push the needle through. And again, don't pull too tight, so you don't want to pull it through. But there, now I've got a nice little nose. And here on the back, I'm going to go through the beginning of this piece of yarn where I had my little knot there. And that's where I'm going to tie this off, so that I have the nice little nose there. Once I tie that through, so weave in my ends, the only thing I have left to do is whip out my hot glue gun and give this guy some little googly eyes. Now you can see here very easily the difference between the number 3 cotton thread and the weight 3 sports weight yarn. Now I did use a smaller hook size for this. I used an E. This was done with an F, but I do tend to crochet a little looser than some people, so mine actually ended up just a tad bigger. But that's okay. Doesn't really matter. This bow looks a lot better. I'm probably going to go back and try to redo my bow here, make it look a little more neater. But so that's the difference between using the Elizabeth cotton thread and the sport weight yarn. So I hope this tutorial helped you. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below, and you can find all the materials you need for this project at maggiescrochet.com. Thanks for watching.
Draw up a loop, draw through 2, draw through 1. Yarn over, or if you accidentally drop it, those loops won't fall off your hook. So now I'm going to continue on, skip that one, pick up this one, skip,